Sheriff Sonny, I found out my granddaughter has been taken. She has been missing for a month. There's something wrong. I found my daughter's car today, and it smells like there's been a dead body in the damn car.
Okay, what is the 3-year-old's name?
Caylee.
There's just so much to get to regarding Tot Mom's re-emergence. Straight out to Rob Dick, former bodyguard. You believe that something precipitated Tot Mom's catapult back onto the public stage. What?
Well, I think the new issue with Gypsy getting her show after Casey's show has been denied by everybody. Once again, she has to come to the forefront. She has to try to be out there in the spotlight, as she always tries.
You stated that she made comments regarding Gypsy getting, a reality show or something like that?
Well, no, when she first emerged and there was a big push about her, Casey had to put herself in front and say, she's so over Gypsy. And then now
Well, Tot Mom said she's over Gypsy Blanchard?
Yes, back when she first emerged and was getting, a spotlight nationwide.
Wait, Gypsy Rose Blanchard suffered child abuse, horrible child abuse, for her whole childhood up until her adulthood. Shannon Butler joining me, WFTV, Channel 9 in Florida. Gypsy was tortured. She lost all of her teeth. She was subjected to multiple surgeries she didn't need. She was forced to go around in a wheelchair. She lost all of her hair because of these drastic medical treatments, and that went on for years and years and years at the hand of her mother, who just wanted to get the money in the state funds. Wait, and Tot Mom is saying she's over Gypsy?
Of all the cases that we've done over the years that Casey Anthony can compare to anybody else, it was such a bizarre case. And it's so weird to me that she would even compare herself to somebody like Gypsy or anyone for that matter.
Okay, Rob Dick joining me. This is Casey Anthony's former bodyguard, bounty hunter, now owner of Renegade Investigations. You had her in the car with you. You were her bodyguard. Describe her demeanor. And this is before her daughter, Caylee's body was found. At that point, Caylee was just missing, although she had been dead for months.
As soon as she was out of custody and she was back at home, she had not a care in the world. Again, it was nothing about her daughter that was supposedly missing at the time. It was just about her.
As you all know by now, Tot Mom has re-emerged on the public stage with a TikTok account. Troy Slayton, veteran defense attorney, what do you make of her demeanor while Caylee is still missing before her body is found? Just very nonplussed.
I think that there's no guidebook. There's no textbook for how somebody's supposed to act in an incredibly traumatic situation. I know I've had many clients, some guilty, some not guilty, who act in ways that I think maybe I wouldn't act. If she maybe has a way in her brain to separate out and to protect herself from a horribly traumatic situation. If she is indeed the victim of sexual abuse from her parents, if she really believes that that was happening to her child, the brain has incredible mechanisms to protect your own psyche from those horrible traumatic events. So maybe that's what was happening here. I don't know. I don't know whether she did it or whether she didn't do it. All I know is that a jury found her not guilty.
In the last hours, Tot Mom Casey Anthony back on the forefront, positioning herself to make money off you. Listen.
I am a legal advocate. I am a researcher. I've been in the legal field since 2011. And in this capacity, I feel that it's necessary, if I'm going to continue to operate appropriately as a legal advocate, that I start to advocate for myself and also advocate for my daughter.
That is from Tot Mom's TikTok account at @CaseyAnthony_Substack. Troy Slayton, you heard her state, I am, quote, in the legal field since 2011. You mean when she was tried for her daughter's murder? I mean, you're in the legal field. Do you equate that to being in the legal field, that you were tried for murder?
Look, I chuckled at that myself, Nancy. I have no idea what she's talking about, being a quote unquote legal advocate. I know attorneys are legal advocates. I don't know how she can advocate for somebody who's deceased. Or it really seems like this is self-promotion. I mean, that's what we all know that it is. And I agree with you. This is at its base self-promotion. It's a money grab, but that doesn't change the facts of the case. No, looking at her as a legal advocate is kind of like looking at OJ as an advocate for victims of domestic violence.
Dr. Bethany Marshall, you heard Tot Mom state that she is, quote, in the legal field since 2011. Help me.
Well, that's what we call grandiosity. She sees Gypsy Blanchard having a reality TV show. Now she wants that idealized life. Now she wants to be a reality TV star. She probably looks at friends who have more money and she thinks, hey, I can make some money on Substack and TikTok. So in a way, this is the same kind of offending pattern that's going to run throughout the rest of her life. You know, who she's really pickpocketing is the public. She's playing on all of our goodwill. She's lying. She's saying she's advocating for her daughter. She's grandiose. She is propping herself up, trying to gain sympathy. And she's abusing the public so she can get money. So I want to say to the public, don't be manipulated. She tried to manipulate her parents. She manipulated the jury. She manipulated her attorney. She's manipulated Troy Slayton. Sorry, Troy. But don't let her manipulate you.
To Shannon Butler joining us, investigative reporter WFTV, Channel 9, Florida, this jurisdiction. Has she ever actually had a job?
Gosh, you know, I don't remember back then if she worked or not, but I mean, over the last few years, the only thing she's done is work for a member of her team. We have not heard since then that she has done anything else but that. But even when
wasn't
she was younger,
living in the family home of the defense defense investigator? Wasn't she living with them? I bet that wore pretty thin.
yeah, right after that trial, she went and lived there and started working for him. I mean, you saw in that documentary that she did that she was there. But I don't remember as her being younger what she did or didn't do as a job because she lived with her parents when we were introduced to her.
So never held down a job. I think, did she ever work at Universal or did she just get her hands on a Universal Studio employee outfit? Rob, did she?
According to Jesse, she worked for the photo part of it, for Kodak inside Universal Park. She was never an event promoter.
Okay, so all that's just BS. Okay, so never held down a job, although she convinced her parents that she was going to Universal every day. I wonder where Caylee was while she was at work. That said, then of course there was the man she lived off. Listen.
The now 38-year-old Tot Mom meets her latest conquest at the South Florida gym where they both work out. Tyson Ray Rhodes, an engineer for an aerospace company, and his wife of 22 years moved from South Florida to Tennessee at the beginning of the year.
In her most recent move, Casey Anthony has uprooted her life in Florida to be with her new man in Tennessee, who has 2 sons. One of Anthony's friends tells the New York Post the once accused murderer doesn't care if he's married or not, saying all she knows is that he makes her feel good, and she likes that. She was willing to follow him to Tennessee. She sees a future with him.
So Dr. Bethany Marshall, she goes from her parents' home, no job, never worked, okay, except the stint with Kodak at Universal, then moves in with the boyfriend,
Right.
then goes to jail, then gets out of jail, then moves in with a man and his family, a guy that worked on the defense team, then claimed that she was a photographer, then moves in with this married man after he kicks his wife out. He now says he regrets that. Well, boo-hoo. Now she's standing on the shoulders of George Anthony and using him to promote her new TikTok venture. I mean, it's just a string of one guy at what?
I have one word for that. Parasite. She's a parasite. She lives off her hosts. The only reason she had Caylee was so she could extract money from her parents, right? The only reason she went to work for Patrick McKenna is she didn't really want to have a real job. The only reason she's on TikTok is so she can exploit sympathy. The only reason she took up with a married man was she thought that he would support her and give her money. It's called a parasitic lifestyle, Nancy. And if any of your viewers look up the characteristics of a sociopath, one of the features, one of the essential criteria is that they have a parasitic lifestyle with poor behavioral controls, hypersexuality, lying, conning, manipulativeness, a calm exterior that hides a cold, calculated interior, multiple sexual partners. I mean, I could go on and on, but this parasitic thing is really a part of that whole disorder.
Troy Slayton with us, high-profile lawyer out of L.A. Troy, you keep going on and on about how a jury acquitted her. We know that. But let me ask you, are you going to subscribe? Are you willing to fork over $100 to Tot Mom Casey Anthony so we can hear her spew about George and Cindy some more?
Personally, I'd rather keep my Netflix, Hulu, Paramount, all Max, all the other streaming services, rather than subscribe to this. Look, Nancy, all she needs is 3,000 people out of the 350 million people in America to subscribe to this, and she'd be making $300,000 a year. And I think there's also
she's already got 3,000. She already has nearly 3,000 right now.
There's something else we need to remember. We hear her mom and dad getting polygraphed on the A&E special. There's a reason why polygraphs are not admissible in court. It's because they're not reliable. It's because you can get all kinds of questionable results. They're not scientific. And they're not.
Okay, so I guess you're trying to say George is lying and somehow managed to pass a poly. Well, Tot Mom never even took a poly. And speaking of dragging her parents back through the mud,
when it's not required,
now she's going to target the LGBTQ community. Listen.
As a proponent for the LGBTQ community, for our legal community, women's rights, I feel that it's important that I use this platform that was thrust upon me and now look at as a blessing as opposed to the curse that it has been since 2008.
You did that to yourself, woman. It wasn't thrust upon you. You did that to yourself. That's from the official TikTok account at @CaseyAnthony_Substack. You know, the LGBTQ community, Dr. Bethany, they have enough problems. They are attacked every day just because of who they are, how they feel, how they present. Really, for nothing. They're attacked for nothing. And now they've got Tot Mom jumping on the bandwagon. I mean,
they're attacked.
Who needs help like that? Did they ask her to help them? I doubt it.
No, and do you hear how officious she sounds? Like she is sort of the savior of this particular community, like she's the savior of her daughter. She's the savior of people who need, legal help or need to talk about their own privacy rights. It's just the grandiosity again, Nancy. That's what I hear. But
wait, think about it, Dr. Bethany. She's acting like the LGBTQ community, they're going to just forget about the claim she murdered her daughter. I mean, what? That is so insulting.
But it gives you insight into Casey Anthony's character in that she does not see them as people with thoughts, feelings, emotions of their own. They're just a class or a race that she's going to exploit in some way. So this is what I think she does is she exploits her relationships, like I was talking about earlier, so she can have some gain from them.
Tot Mom Casey Anthony was acquitted at trial and was found not guilty. Goodbye, friend.